Hello beautiful people and welcome to my channel. My name is Jaylene, and if you guys don't know, I have a 6-month-old son. So I am a new mom and I feel like I've learned a lot these past 6 months. So I wanted to make this video just to share my tips and my advice and my experience overall being a mom for these past 6 months. I just want to start off with a disclaimer that this is my experience and what works for me. So obviously what works for me might not work for you. So let's start off with my pregnancy. So I had a full-term pregnancy and I actually went over my due date. I followed like the tips and tricks I saw on TikTok of, you know, the raspberry leaf tea, the dates, the walking, the bouncing on the ball. I tried to do everything I could to make my labor easier and you know, naturally induce myself. Sadly, it didn't work for me. I ended up going 3 days over my due date and I didn't know that this was something dangerous. I lost my mucus plug about 5 days before I had my baby. So I went to the hospital and they checked if I was dilated and I was not dilated, so they sent me back home. My due date was on a Sunday and it was Monday by this time and I still was not going into labor. So I started bouncing on my ball and my water breaks. So my husband was in the shower and I'm like, hey, like my water broke. And then he's like, do you want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital because last time I went to the hospital, they sent me home. And I'm not even sure if this is my water breaking. Or maybe I just pee myself, you know? And he was like, so you don't want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, no. So I didn't go to the hospital, but the day after that I had an appointment with my doctor. So my hospital and my doctor are in 2 different locations. So I see my doctor at a clinic and I was only going to go to the hospital to give birth. And at this point I'm already a day past my due date. My husband met me at my appointment. So we go to the appointment and I tell him like, oh, my mucus, like I lost my mucus plug and I think my water broke last night. I'm not sure, like let's check down there. So he checks me, he's like, yeah, you're dilated and you need to go to the hospital like now. And then I'm like, I don't have my hospital bag ready, like I need to take a shower, I need to get myself together before I go to the hospital and give birth. So I'm like looking at him like, you're crazy, I'm not down for this right now. So I look at him and I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So we go to the hospital, we check in around 4 o'clock on a Monday, right? I was in the hospital until 4 o'clock on Friday. So the entire week I was in the hospital and it was honestly the worst week of my life. Like, I get checked in, they keep checking if I'm dilating, and she's like, okay, well, let me call your doctor and let me ask if we can start an induction. And I'm like, okay. Oh, and I'm sitting there in the bed and my phone dies. And my husband is still at the waiting room in this area because they're only checking if I'm dilated. I don't have my own room yet. So at this point, he doesn't know what's going on. Nobody even knows I'm at the hospital. Everyone thinks I'm, like my parents, his parents, like everyone thinks I just went in for my final checkup. But I'm actually in the hospital already, like about to, you know, get the ball rolling. So my doctor says, yes, let's induce her. I get admitted into a room. Doctor comes to see me and he lets me know, like, you know what, you are over your due date and your water has been broken for 24 hours now. Your water can only be broken for 48 hours, so you're gonna be prone to infections and a harder labor, this and that. Fast forward to Wednesday, I have my baby and I did push him out naturally, but I tore, so I had to get stitches. Recovery part after pushing a baby out is honestly insane. Like, I couldn't even get up out of the bed. It was so bad. Like, I was in so much pain. It's just really painful. But tip number 1, take your own peri bottle. So I'm gonna insert a picture right here of the one that I took. It's the Freedom Mom pink peri bottle, I think it's called, and it's like you put the water in it and then you squeeze it and it cleans you down there. I would definitely recommend to take your own because the hospital ones will do the job, but it's not gonna do it as efficiently as the Frida one. So that is my first tip. Take like a nice cozy gown because I went to the hospital with no hospital bag packed at all. Like I had to tell my mom to bring me whatever I did have packed, but I still was working on it, you know. I hadn't put in like every single thing, so that Frida bottle was left at home. I would definitely recommend you to take your own blanket to the hospital, and if you have a Boppy pillow to breastfeed, if you plan on breastfeeding, take that as well. I could honestly make a whole video about what to take in your hospital bag, but that's just like from the top of my head what I can remember that I felt like I needed. Hospital does provide you with pads, a spray to like numb you a bit, and these like little underwears. I feel like the underwears I could have gone with a different alternative, like brought my own, because those weren't doing it for me. And you bleed a lot, you pee straight blood. It's honestly the most disgusting thing ever. Like there's a point where I went to the bathroom and I was walking to the bathroom and I was gushing blood from the bed all the way to the toilet, and it was pretty bad. I also got 2 hemorrhoids on my butthole. It's very hard for me to sit and lay down for weeks. So now I'm gonna get into more of like my tips for motherhood. First tip that I can think of is to breastfeed. Breastfeeding is a very, very challenging, time consuming, mentally draining. Like it's not easy. But if you are gonna breastfeed, which I highly suggest you do, get yourself that Boppy pillow or whichever nursing pillow so that you have support when you are nursing your baby. Get yourself nursing bras. I would suggest to get the Mom Cozy electrical pumps. So you charge them, you place them on your boob. You could take milk out if you ever need to leave your baby with somebody for whatever, or if you need to, you know, be on the road and you can't like whip out your titty. Then also the Philips Avent bottles are the ones that worked for my son. I also really recommend the sunflower pills. You can order them like on Amazon, and these pills will help your breast from getting milk ducts. You do not want clogged breasts. Like it's the worst pain you could ever think of. Like it's honestly up there with birth, because basically your milk gets clogged in your breast. It just creates like extremely tender breast. They're swollen, they're red, and you can even develop like a fever, and if it's really, really bad, you have to get it like surgically removed. Get a breast massager. It's like a little like a vibrator for your boobs. It heats up and you kind of just like move it throughout your breast between feedings or throughout the day, just to help your milk stay running and not get stuck in certain places. It happened to me and I was dying. So if you have a clogged milk duct, get the Haakaa, the manual Haakaa. You're gonna fill it with warm water, or like as warm as you can get the water, and put some Epsom salt in there. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna place it on your boob, like if you're gonna breastfeed. You have to do this like over and over again until you get it out. But that's the only thing that helped me, honestly. And then right after that is when I got the pills and I started taking them. I didn't need to take them for long because my body like naturally started regulating its milk. This happened to me like honestly like 3 weeks into breastfeeding, which was super annoying because if it's not one thing, it's another. Like honestly, you're dealing with a newborn, you're dealing with postpartum depression, you're dealing with your postpartum body, so it's definitely overwhelming. Since I kind of touched on the postpartum topic, I want to talk about that too, because I did get postpartum depression, which I was not expecting at all. Like I thought in my head like, oh, like how could you be depressed? Like you have a newborn, like you should be happy, like blah blah blah. Like I thought it could never happen to me, but it happened to me and I was so humbled so quick. It could get really dark and I feel like if you have people in your life that you can be around, take advantage of it. Because for me, I was alone almost all day, every day, because my partner, my family, and everyone was working. So I feel like that really did take a toll on me. When it comes to postpartum depression, I don't have any advice other than to read, and if you are going to read, I would suggest to read the Bible. Something that I didn't do that I wish I could have done is go back and have a relationship with God during that time, because it was very scary. I personally let my baby have his own schedule, so I never put him on like a sleeping schedule or eating schedule. I let him feed whenever he wanted to, and I let him sleep whenever he wanted to. At first, newborns sleep 24/7, so they literally only wake up to eat, and then you change them and they go back to sleep. From the very beginning of his life, he chose 8:30 as his sleeping time. So 8:30, maybe 9:30 latest, he was asleep and sleeping through the night, in the sense that he was pretty much asleep. He was still waking up every 2 hours to breastfeed, but overall he sleeps from 8:30 to 7:30, and that's just what works for him, and I just go with his flow. If you are breastfeeding, I would highly suggest to introduce a bottle with your breast milk at about 1 week, so that way he gets familiar with the bottle if he needs to ever take a bottle for whatever reason. Another tip is start tummy time as soon as possible. So we started literally right away at like 1 week, and I did as much as he could because at first he was very fussy. Yeah, but tummy time really helps their neck form and get strength, and it also helps their tummy release gas if they do have gas in there. When it comes to gas, I also really recommend the bicycles. So what you're gonna do if your baby has gas and you realize it's making them like colicky or uncomfortable, you get their little legs and you kind of just go back and forth, and then you press and hold on their tummy, so then that way they can like release all their gas. And it might take a few times, so just keep going until you hear the gas come out. If they are constipated, I would suggest a warm bath. Just keep them in the bath, let the water kind of do its thing on their tummy. They should be able to poop within like 30 minutes. If that doesn't work and your baby is like 5-6 months and they're having constipation trouble, I would suggest prune puree. So you get this like at the grocery store. Make sure it's organic, and you just feed them a little bit, and within an hour they should be able to go to the bathroom. When it comes to diapers, if they poop, let them poop, give them some time to take it all out, because I made this mistake when he was like a few weeks old. I heard my baby pooping, so I automatically go to the changing table and I start taking off his diaper, and like I'm ready to tackle his shit, but he wasn't done. So he sprayed poop all over my walls, all over my hands. It was just horrible. So I would suggest to listen carefully and pay attention to their face, and whatever signs are showing you that they're still not done, let them finish before you go changing them. Highly suggest a diaper genie for diapers. You could load up like a week's worth of diapers in there and just take it out at the end of the week. And it's smell proof too, so you won't have to worry about like the smell of like poop or pee. If we personally bed share with our son, which I don't encourage anyone to do, it definitely can be unsafe. We are just very careful, and we found that it's what works for us. But again, I wouldn't suggest it. But we had a bedside bassinet, like the ones that like attach to your bed, and he hated it. So we like had to literally have him sleep on our chest and then put him down right next to us, and that's like the only way that he would stay asleep. To this day, we still share the bed with him. Sleep in his crib for a certain amount of time, but sometimes he's just not having it, so he sleeps with us. I'm really regretting not being more strict with him as a newborn with sleeping on his own, because he's still sleeping with us at 6 months. When it comes to burping, you can do like the basic, you know, patting on the back and giving their burp out that way. But what I found that works way faster is like, let's say this is their back, right? I'm gonna get a teddy bear. let's say this is the baby, right? So you place your palm on their lower back and you kind of apply like a bit of force, and you move your palm up like this, and you just do it multiple times, and it gets the gas out way quicker than you sitting there and patting them to burp. Sometimes that would drive me crazy because I was like, hurry up, I'm trying to put you down. So when it comes to feeding, you can tell if a baby is hungry by their fists. So a closed fist means hungry, and when they start to release their fist is when they're getting full, and then by the time that their hand is open, they are satisfied, and then you go into burping them. One really important thing that I want to share is the grunting during their sleep. So our baby slept right next to us, and we would notice that he would grunt during his sleep, and it was honestly terrifying. Like, I thought something was wrong with him. I would just like look at him and be like, is he not breathing right? Like, is he choking? Like, what's going on? Because it was so scary. But this happens for like a couple weeks and they grow out of it. So don't get alarmed. If you really are scared, you know, go get your baby checked. But I just want to tell you that a little bit of grunting is normal. It's up to you, obviously, if you want to take your baby out or not, but my husband and I took our baby out at 2 weeks. So we took him to his 2-week checkup appointment, and we asked his pediatrician if we can take him with us to Target after, and she said that was totally fine. And I know some people are very against that, like they want to wait a month or 2 months or however long to take their baby out, but we definitely were not those parents. We started taking our baby out to eat with us, to shop with us, like really early on in his life. We also had his mom come in from Texas to meet him right away. His tias, my tia, all our family basically met our baby right away within like his first few days. And honestly, we don't regret our decision. That's just what worked for us, especially in the Hispanic culture. Like, the cuarentena is very prioritized, but I said nope. Also, did not use a pacifier, so my baby does not take a pacifier. Once he was like 6 months, I tried it and he didn't like it, so he's just not a pacifier baby. But if you are gonna get a pacifier, definitely make sure that it's an orthodontic pacifier. That way it doesn't mess up like his teeth or his jaw placement at all. Another tip that I can think of is the clothing size. I used to think that if the tag said 3M, so 3 months, that the baby couldn't wear that clothes until they were 3 months. But I was so wrong, and because of this, he outgrew clothes that he hadn't even touched yet. 0 to 3 months means the same thing as 3 months. So if a tag says 3M, that means he can only wear it up to 3 months. After that, it's no longer designed for that baby. Just pay attention to those tags. If it says 6 months, your baby will most likely outgrow it by like 4 or 5 months. My baby right now is 6 months and he is wearing 12-month clothing. So all that means is that he is wearing clothes that is up to 12 months. Does that make sense? Okay, well, I didn't know that, so if that is something new to you, let me know. If you do breastfeed your baby, they might only poop like every 2 days or 3 days. We were told that in the hospital, so we already knew, but I just want to let you know that it's normal if you breastfeed your baby and they don't poop every day. But when they do poop, it's gonna be a mess. So a very important thing that I want to share for the safety of your baby is to not overheat them. So never have them with too many layers of clothes or too heavy of a blanket, because they can overheat and they can die. If you are naturally warm-blooded, make sure you just stay away from the blanket and use your own body heat for your baby. If it's like the winter time and you guys have the heater on, chill on the heater, you know, like make sure your baby is comfortable. Do not let your baby sleep with any blankets for like the first year of their life. They could easily like put the blanket over their face and suffocate. But however, I do suggest swaddling your baby for like the first 2 months of their lives. You can either buy like the ones with the zipper that you put them in, or do like the swaddle with the blanket. We did like the swaddling ourselves, and just keep them like nice and tucked. As soon as your baby does learn how to start rolling over, which is like about 3 to 4 months, take that swaddle away, because they can easily flip over and suffocate if their face is on like the mattress, because they won't have like any room to be flipping over. If you do have a bedside bassinet, it also says in the bassinet to switch over to a crib as soon as babies can start flipping over. So we switched to a crib around 5 months. I know that it can be very annoying to sit there and hold a baby like 24/7, but if contact naps is what they need, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, worry about the laundry later, worry about the dishes later, like have your baby, like give your baby what your baby needs. I would highly suggest a carrier to wrap them on you, or place them on you if you need to free your hands for any reason, like cooking or cleaning and stuff. Just get a carrier and put them in there, and they should be able to sleep or be calm at least while you get things done. Another really interesting thing that you may or may not know is the line on the diapers. There's a yellow line on diapers that will turn blue when it is wet. So always just pay attention to that line. If you're wondering if they've peed themselves, it won't tell you if they've pooped themselves, but obviously you can smell that one. So yeah, another mistake that I did in the very beginning was changing my baby's diaper throughout the night. So as I said, he sleeps from 8:30 to 7:30, and I was changing his diaper every single feeding at that point, and that's something that you don't have to do. So it is totally okay to have your baby sleep through the night with their diaper on. Don't worry about their diaper until they actually wake up for the day. So that's something that I do now. I change my baby's diaper right before he's gonna go to sleep, and then I won't change it until around 7:30 when he wakes up. You're gonna avoid a lot of loud screaming in the middle of the night. I think that is all that I have for now. So finally, I just want to say that if you are an expecting mom, congratulations, and I wish you the best labor and delivery, and I hope you learned something from today's video. Remember to work on your patience and be the best possible mother that you can for your baby. Feel free to reach out to me for anything. I will always reply to you guys in the comments if you do decide to comment something. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video.